start with some small formative ideas. So my project goes with the name Gender and Sexuality in Our Everyday Life. And it's and the important part of this project is not actually gender and sexuality. It's the important part is in our everyday life, because any 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 course or any course or any learning material can tell that okay, gender is ABCDE, there are so many genders, there is LGBTQIA, there is, these are the terminologies, these are the pronouns. Everybody teaches those politically correct things. In this course, what we want to do is that okay, here is me, what do I mean by gender, and how do I look back in my life to sort of place these learnings. And looking back cannot does not have to be our past. Looking back can be just looking inside into our bodies. It can be our hair, it can be our just simple facts like our clothes and what is our relationship with our clothes. And I'm keeping it open right now because I feel in the process of this project it will emerge. Every other learner would bring out their own relationship with that one aspect that they relate so much, and maybe they'll be able to see how gender and sexuality play in it. And the idea is to sort of familiarize them something that is around them, and then sort of bring out the complex ideas of gender and sexuality, so that the understanding is not very theoretical and very divorced from their everyday reality, but it's about them. So they are knowing something about them while learning the concept. That is the idea. Yeah, it is rooted in the lived experiences. And why it is important? It is important because uh, one, we don't live in a society where we really reflect on, or we don't have the space to reflect on our choices around our gender and our sexuality. And it's not about really like identifying as a gender, or being having a one kind of sexual orientation, but it's also about how do we sort of choose to dress, how do we sort of, who do we talk to, who do we become friends with. These are about more about those questions, that what exactly gender and sexuality are structured, they do to us. It's mostly about that. And uh, most in my project, what I have chosen is personal essay, which is not a mostly when we say essay, people think it's a text, but it is going to be a text multimedia text where we can use like art or visuals or audios or photography or writing, anything, or our own speech. We record it and we put it in the essay format. And what we do is we explore one particular theme over the 4 weeks. So what happens is that we also learn a new methodology of research, because this is a mix of ethnographic research where you listen to people and you just don't only listen in the interview what they are saying, but you also sort of listen to what is the surrounding is and where are they coming from, what is the emotion. So we will learn those kind of methodologies slowly. I'll bring it out, not maybe in a next course we'll technically learn about it, but in this course, just to give a taste of it, how research can be fun. That is one way. And also, while researching, you reflect on yourself. So basically the learners will themselves research and they will be subject of their own research. So that is one thing I think is very interesting, which I think people will find interesting, because a lot of time when we talk about research, also people think, oh, I'll go somewhere and research. Here, no, you don't have to go anywhere. You will have to research about yourself. And this kind of understanding also sort of gives, also in one of the days in 4 weeks, we'll also discuss that where, okay, we are learning this, but then next what? Or do we only reflect about our lives? Maybe not. We'll also reflect about what place we reflect on: home, family, workplace, and etc. etc. And what do we, and also we can see that there is now that gender is a very buzzing word in development sector. So there are careers in it. There are researches which requires, because gender is a cross-cutting theme. Even if you are doing a research on commerce, you have to talk about work, like you have to talk about gender and work, or gender and revenue making. So it's a cross-cutting theme. So I think it's important, and which I think conventionally schools are not telling people that, okay, it's not only about concept, it's also a very important career pathway. You look like gender budgeting is something that's high on right now, money, like high on like development sector. So I think that once you learn about it early, you can also figure out a career map. Okay, if gender is my stronghold, I'll plan my higher studies around it, or I'll, so some discussion will have around it every week. I mean, that's what I think. And then the key concepts that the project wants to impart is, of course, inclusion, diversity, and key skills is thinking. I mean, thinking is something we don't place value on. Like, one needs to think, and one needs to sort of look into the details of everydayness. Once, like, if, like, people say that reform starts at home, so once you start thinking about yourself, put yourself out, then maybe you'll be able to relate dots and understand better about the structures or larger societal structures. And another thing is that it also the aim of this is to also learn that how empathetically we communicate with people. So I think these are the key skills that the course will anchor. So this is the course breakup, and I feel the first week we will interact. I mean, the interact through our introduction, and the introduction is not sort of like telling name, but also like I mean, it's a very overview. There would be further details around how the each day, how the course will go. So I mean, the introduction sort of will give them an entry into how do we introduce ourselves by not telling, oh, these are the milestones, like, oh, I am in this class, I come from here, not sort of that way, but sort of a more reflective way, that what makes me me. Right. So that sort of that way. And then we will go into also discuss a little bit of gender, and then we'll delve into more technical part of like what is a personal essay. And we will read few personal essays. We will talk about it. And similarly, so the over the week, there is one conceptual input that you do, what is gender, what is sexuality, and there is one input where you also learn that what do we do with that conceptual input, like we write a personal essay. So what is a personal essay? So there are two kind of technical inputs that's going to happen, and these are going to be mostly co-creative, because we read and then we also tell each other that what do we think about it, or we write something and we come back for the next week or the next day. So this is how I have broadly planned. And uh, uh, in the inputs where we talk about what is gender, we will discuss gender as a structure, like how it impacts us, and how we also do gender and become part of it, or we break it in a very everyday way. Not necessarily by identifying as a trans person, but also by sort of fighting with parents to sort of go out of the house and sort of deal with the home curfew timing. So sort of very everyday way, how do we all break gender? So we'll talk about that. Even in terms of sexuality also, it's not about sexual orientation, but also why do I desire for makeup? Some very personal questions that sort of shapes the foundation very well. And after that, we will learn the linkages of gender and sexuality. And meanwhile, we'll also keep on reading essays and develop essays and come up and build it, so that by the end of the fourth week, we all have some publish worthy good essay, because writing and editing is my stronghold. I write and I also publish. So I mean, I hope that the learners would be able to come up with some articles or something that they can send to, and I can also probably help them to send it to somewhere where they can publish it. And the final outcome, as I said, is an essay based on their lived experience, which I'm hoping if the learners would like it to even take it forward, I would be happy to engage and sort of put them in touch with editors, or who like necessarily exploit my own contact. So that is something that I'm looking forward to, that what will emerge out of it, and also sort of documenting the process, because how they're struggling, of what are their struggles in making it, or making the essay, sort of doing any sort of working in any modality to sort of reach to reach to a place where we get something, so that adds to our existing CV, I would say. Otherwise, the exercise would not be very rewarding, because of course there should be some sort of tangible reward. So I am looking at it as that.